Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. No surprise here. I don't know if it's a surprise for you. Now, if this is a surprise for you, then you are welcome, and I'm glad you are here with me so we can discuss what's going on. Israel to close Al Jazeera news network in the country, in Israel. So the Israeli government unanimously, according to Netanyahu, decided that they will close the offices of Al Jazeera. There is, based on claims of national security. So that's legal. That is all legal. This reminds me of the communist times when I lived under the communism. The communists, according to people, were jamming the Free Radio Europe and the Voice of America, who at that time, some of us did not know they were funded by American government, by, I think it was CIA, and it was also, among others, and State Department of the US. And they were not really the good guys. They were just pushing their interest. They were giving us information, but it's like a banker. A bank doesn't help you. It's not over there to help you. It's to make money. Well, in the process, it can help you if you know what to do with the money. Now, let's discuss this banning of Al Jazeera, kicking it out. And as I said, any country can do what the fuck ever it wants. And it's, elected officials, they do it, you don't like it, you change them. That's democracy. That's freedom, right? Right. So, do I think it's a good thing? You cannot stop information flow, the flow of information. The communists tried then. Imagine now. All right, let's read this little article. CNN, the most trusted pip. Israel to close Al Jazeera news network in the country. Today, Sunday, May 5th, 2024. They show us Netanyahu. Netanyahu, I think, is attacked by his own guys because he did not do something. That's what I think is the problem with Netanyahu. Netanyahu did not agree in the circles that promoted, or they tried to destroy him, some forces, and now he's trying to pay something back by not doing something they want him to do. Who's they? His people, his friends, his guys. That's the problem with Netanyahu. It's from bright to dark. That's how the changes, how the media portrays Netanyahu. Now, let's read what these guys are saying. I'm not defending this guy. I think he's a smart guy, but I don't think he works for my interest, and he's not supposed to. He works for his people's interest. And that's all that matters. That should be it is in the books, the first requirement and duty of a leader. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that the operations of Qatar-based news network Al Jazeera will be closed in the country. Zelensky closed some other media outlets. Zelensky, remember Zelensky? In charge of the Ukrainian nation. Netanyahu said in a post on X, and I'm quoting, "The government headed by me unanimously, all of them together, decided the incitement channel Al Jazeera will be closed in Israel." End quote. Ophir gentleman, the Prime Minister's spokesperson to the Arab world, said Sunday that the decision would be implemented immediately. So implemented immediately, this is today at 8:03 a.m. So that means it's already there. So this is not to close, is closed. In a post of X, this guy said that the network's, and I'm quoting, broadcast equipment will be confiscated. Do you remember some other people who confiscated other stuff? They all do when they can. And they will say for the common good, and to defend you, to protect you. Again, this is their problem. That's the Israelis' problem. But look how they're justifying it. Because that's going to be picked by this guy. Remember, Israelis, the only democratic country in the Middle East, our staunch defender, and ally, and ooh. Remember? But it's under attack. In self-defense, can do a lot of stuff. Maybe, I don't know, maybe martial law and some of their liberties infringed until the national security warning passes. And who decides it passes? The government. That's reality. And they can go perpetually in this state. Now we, the great Americans, we also have a, democratic way of electing our officials, and we have the system, which is similar to theirs. So if they can do it legally, we can do it legally. Or they can do it legally to us, because we are at the receiving end. And we are not at the receiving end that we might like it. Because there are some people who like to be okay? I like the other way around, but nevertheless, let's go. It's only rock and roll. So the broadcast equipment will be confiscated, the channel's correspondents will be prevented from working, the channel will be removed from cable and satellite television companies, and Al Jazeera's websites will be blocked on the internet. They can do this with CNN if they want. They can do this with Fox News. They can do it with Sputnik, Russia, whatever they want. They have the capability. But still, people are still alive and they can talk in various ways. He quoted Netanyahu as saying, and I'm quoting, Al Jazeera reporters harmed Israel's security and incited IDF soldiers. It is time to expel the mouthpiece of Hamas from our country. Now, question, is Al Jazeera the mouthpiece of Hamas or has to do something with the Palestinians too? Question mark. And you know the answer, I guess, right? Al Jazeera did not immediately respond to the closure on Sunday. All right, so he says here. He said in April he intended to act immediately in accordance with a new law to stop the outlet's activity in the country. That's a law. Now, what else I have here? The move comes a month after Netanyahu vowed to shut down the television channel in the country following the passage of a sweeping, right here, law, which I'm not going to go into, allowing the government to ban foreign networks perceived as posing a threat to national security. And who determines that? They determine that. I come from a system, I had my childhood in a certain system and my adolescent years spent in a socialist system led by one party, a communist party. That was a tyrannical system. There were all the beautiful laws were over there, but they were respected however they wanted to be respected, the guys over there. So the same, there was a special class and then the rest of us. The same right now. Remember the how it's called, the Super Bowl. Remember during the COVID, you had the rubble, us, with the masks in the stands, and the VIPs partying without masks. So that's an exemplification of how the communist system worked. In Romania, at least, there were a group of people who had everything that we were supposed to have or not, and the rest of us who had to have whatever they told us we can have. Now, what I see, the reason why I mentioned this, and I will mention some more, is that I'm very, very sensitive. It's like I grew some antennas. So when I hear these kind of things in the common good, we're going to ban this, or we're going to close this, we're going to confiscate it, we're going to arrest that, and so on. For me, I vibrate differently, or whatever. It's a different flavor for me. And it's true that sometimes having this kind of allergic reaction to certain things goes from 0 to 100 in 0.1 seconds, all right? But it's just, and you say, well, it's just you're hypersensitive. Could be. But when you see a pattern, this claim of hypersensitivity just dissipates. I don't care what Israel does in Israel. It's their country. They do whatever they want. I don't like when people hear about that and then they tell us here that, hey, that's a good thing for common good, you should wear this, you should stay in your room, you should do all those things, you're fired if you don't have that, and so on. Now that reminds me again of some people who are imposing certain things on us and they were not doing it. Remember, what's his name, Gavin Newsom, the what's his name, he's in California, he's the governor of California. Remember at the restaurant, pictures, videos at the restaurant, where there were mandates for all the idiots over there in California to distance, social distances for the common good. You couldn't go on the beach, not on that beach, to swim or whatever. If they would arrest you on the beach and so on, and he was over there, it's not because, that guy particularly is bad. That's the way we are as humans. The problem is if we have supposedly the checks and balances, we have them in our books. But if people get corrupted and there's no consequences for their actions, like Gavin Newsom should have been gone. In my world, he shouldn't have been elected in the first place. Like I would say 99% of the politicians I know of. 99.9%. So let's say I know about, let's say 300 politicians, not like 300 politicians. I don't know, I would go with about 10, all right, something like that. So again, do you think it's good? When we were in the communist times, those radio broadcastings, supposedly the Romanians were jamming, the communists, the Securitate was jamming them. So we cannot get that. So the way we could get it on the radio, the people in the Eastern Europe, and Central Europe, they know what I'm talking about. So you would listen, everybody was, you will put blankets over, or it's very small, everything will be, all that. Why? Because the communists it was paranoia at one point, obviously. But nevertheless, they had the capabilities from the West. I know that for a fact. The listening devices, the Securitate I had in Romania, were brought from East Germany and France, Britain, and it was another country, it escapes right now. 3 main countries, I think the Americans. Why? Because they were doing the same thing to their population. Why? They have to keep the country safe. And I understand that one to a certain degree when you start overstepping or pushing some boundaries and you become abusive, which they did. So they did that, and we called the communists bad because they claimed those guys, the Voice of America and Radio Free Europe, I'm not for them whatsoever, but then you thought they were the good guys. Rumors and shit. Lack of information, that's what it was. When you got the internet and you find out who's over there, who sponsors, who funds them, you say, oh, wait, Jesus Christ, what the hell. Now, they were doing this, they claimed, they justified their actions, the communists, for national security threat coming from those with those bad ideas. The propaganda will destroy our unity in Romania. Mental sickness. So, again, I don't care what those guys do over there, but if they can do it, and they're free and capitalist and democratic and so on, what stops these guys to do the same thing? It's all legal. It's all legal. And they can do it. They're working on many other subjects, not only in the free speech, in media, to carry something to a lot of things. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Not surprising, the move here. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.